Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm Bryan Cook. This is my presentation on wireless security. Today we're going to discuss wireless security in the home, office, and on public networks. We want to talk about how to develop a posture assessment for your wireless network and eliminate any vulnerabilities. The limited security for casual users of a wireless network, especially with the Internet of Things, other wireless devices in the home, make it very important to be vigilant. By show of hands, who here has a wireless network in their home? So it looks like we're pretty well invested in wireless networks. And that's my first point here, the prevalence of wireless networks. Everybody's using them, but not that many people are using them properly or safely. We'll also talk about the dependence on wireless networks for different things that we do, bills, banking, etc. The risks of unsafe operation and strategies for securing your wireless network. In any home or office, you're likely to find wireless access points, computers, printers, mobile devices, a telephone possibly that uses voice over IP, or some other wireless method. You've got entertainment services that use wireless, home security devices, including IP cameras, and appliances. All of these devices use the wireless network in your home, whether you realize it or not. Here is a short video to talk a little bit about some of the ways that you can develop your own.
How to use Fame.
How to use your own mobile phone to do a mapping of your wireless network.
You can download for free on Android and iOS. Very simple to use. You only need to press the arrow on the upper right corner and the application will find every devices on your network. If you're not familiar with network environment, please take a look at the video on the upper right corner for a better understanding. As we can see here, my router address is 192.168.1.1. So it provides addresses to device connected to it between 192.168.1.2 and 192.168.1.254. Under it, we can see my Google Home, computers, mobile phone, NAS drive, Apple TV, and Sonos speakers. The gray out one down there is because we already see it on the network before, but it's not online actually. If we click on the device, we can get more information like its MAC address. Now, if you were looking for your Western Digital MyCloud NAS drive, by example, Think just removed its IP address. So you're now able to log in at its address with Google Chrome. If the device you were looking for is not in the list, probably that may have been set up to a static IP address on a different range. Now you may have two options. Network reset the device. The process is different for every device, but usually consists to press a button for a few seconds. But if you don't want to reset anything, you can try to set your phone on a static IP on a different range to find it. If you don't know how to do it, follow the video on the upper right corner to find out. Most popular home router assign IP address on the following range: 10.0.1.1, 10.0.0.1, 192.168.0.1, 192.168.1.1, or 192.168.2.1. Now, as you can see, I set my phone and another phone on a static IP address on a different range that my router attributes to everybody, and those two devices are still able to talk between each other. Now that you find it, You may type the address into Google Chrome to access the device and set it to DHCP, so we can find his way back to the network like any other devices. So this is it. Thank you for watching. I hope it helps. Don't forget to subscribe.
Okay. If you noticed, not only did that program show you what the IP address was for all those devices, when you click on the device, it shows you what the MAC address is. So if you wanted to, you could go to static addressing in your DHCP settings and change the width of your network to limit the number of devices and put in the MAC address for each device that you want on your network so that there's no room for a hacker to find a place to come in. Okay? So that's just one thing there. We've kind of already talked about all the different devices that you have in your home. The things that you do with them are pretty obvious. But as long as you're doing banking, bills, Social Security, taxes, any of those things on a wireless network, these should be important to you. As we talked about before, the risks of unsafe operation include identity theft, data loss, expense, potential embarrassment. I don't know if you've ever seen any unflattering videos or photos of celebrities that were taken from their cell phone. If you allow somebody into your network, there's no telling what they could possibly do.
Public wireless networks, or Wi-Fi hotspots, have become a central part of our lives. We drink coffee and surf, we queue and surf, we wait for our flight and surf. What do we think about security? At home, or what we probably do, yet in public, many people forget. We lock our homes, our cars, our desks. We protect ourselves however we can from harm. Yet we openly surf in public places, often with no protection. It doesn't make sense, and ignorance is not an excuse. There is no doubt that public Wi-Fi is a great feature. There is no doubt it's good for business. But we have to educate people about the risks of surfing openly on a public wireless network and how to mitigate them. If you don't have to log onto a hotspot, it's open. If you don't use tunneling software or secure web browsing, you're open. There has been a rise in the number of fake Wi-Fi hotspots in our cities too. People setting up free wireless network access, complete with data sniffers, ready to harvest your personal information, your email addresses, passwords, social media accounts, and more, all designed to steal your identity. Our blasé attitude towards hackers and scammers to steal our personal information for personal gain. We often don't think or check the validity of free Wi-Fi, but it could be anyone. Download the wireless network Stumbler and see how many Wi-Fi hotspots are there in your favorite places. How many of them look legitimate? How many of them would you trust? We bet the number will surprise you. The answer is simple. Take precautions, protect yourself, and surf in safety. It doesn't take long to set up, and then you can forget about it. Use a firewall on your laptop or tablet. Password protect every network gadget. Turn off file and folder share. Have an up-to-date antivirus solution. Use a secure browser such as Chrome or Firefox. Surf using HTTPS whenever possible. If you use Firefox, use the HTTPS Everywhere plugin. Learn which hotspots are secure and use them. Check for WPA or WPA2 protection. They are the secure ones. If you use Wi-Fi a lot, consider using a VPN. It's secure, sometimes free, and doesn't get in the way of surfing. Don't access online banking or anything important through Wi-Fi unless you really have to. We're all about freedom and less about paranoia, but you have to be aware. Failing to protect your data in a public wireless network is like leaving your front door open, your keys in your car, or your bank account number and password written on a beer mat. You wouldn't do any of those because you know what would happen. Surfing insecurely on public Wi-Fi is no different. Are your network users aware of these risks? If not, share this video with them. It will save you serious hassle down the line.
Okay, so as you can see, there are several strategies for securing your network, whether you're using someone else's network and you're trying to surf, do work, banking, whatever. If you're on an open public Wi-Fi, it's not a good place for it. At home, you should probably change the admin password on your router, change and hide the SSID. You could potentially use MAC filtering, as we discussed earlier. The encryption that he's talking about, WPA or WPA2, WPA has been hacked recently, so you probably want to use WPA2 with AES encryption. In order to make the devices unavailable for a hacker, you might consider turning off Wi-Fi devices that are not in use, including your cable, television, some of the other devices that could broadcast a signal that somebody could pick up on. Update the firmware of all your wireless devices, update the software and malware protection on all your computers. Here is a more comprehensive listing of the steps that you can employ to secure your device, your wireless network. Does somebody have a question? As I discussed before, change the name of your default home network to probably something that's not your name or your router name or something else that somebody could easily identify that it's you. Make sure you set a strong and unique password to secure your wireless network. Increase your Wi-Fi security by activating network encryption. And it discusses here the WPA2, the instructions for several different kinds of routers are on YouTube. I went through many of them. Unfortunately, many of the presenters don't give you good advice on how to set your password or on what wireless security settings you should set. Some of them discuss WEP or WPA, which are not secure. So be careful and use the best security available. Again, turn off the wireless home network when you're not at home. Think about where the wireless router is located in your home. If the signal is broadcast outside of your home, that could potentially give somebody an opportunity to get in. Use a strong network administrator password to increase Wi-Fi security. Change your default IP address on the wireless router. You can change that address for the router in the software for the router, so that it's not the same 192.168.1.1 location, where somebody's likely to be looking for it. If they know the kind of router that's there, they probably know what the default admin password and IP address are. As discussed earlier, you can also limit the number of addresses that your router will accept. And that's where the turning off the DHCP functionality and the MAC addressing. You can disable remote access, but always keep your router's software up to date. Install a firewall to secure your network, and enhance protection for the devices most frequently connected to your network by installing malware protection if you can, but always updating firmware on any devices that you have. Now, I'd like to open it up for discussion. If anybody has any questions about wireless security or specific points that they think that maybe I didn't address. Jim?
In your opinion, which is the most important step in securing your wireless network?
Well, the layers are what's most important. If you just change your SSID and you hide the SSID, somebody could find that using a sniffer. If you use the WPA2 and AES encryption, that is probably the most important of all of the steps that I saw in any of the videos. But it may not be foolproof if you have a weak password.
Thank you.
So say I used, example, 1, 2, 3, 4 cones for a password, and I used it on another one on a wireless network. Is it possible that they could connect to that and sniff that out as well?
You're better off to use a combination of upper and lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols. And 8 is usually the minimum, but most of the videos that I watched suggest that you use 12. But you should use something that is easy for you to remember, whether it is a pattern or a phrase. A phrase is easily converted from, the first letter of each word in that phrase into a 12-letter number and symbol password.
I said, and I'm usually told never use personal info, which is a give, but they also say don't use like names, your first pet, and stuff like that.
Dictionary attacks can sniff out names, dictionary words. It's better that you use something that is not either consecutive letters or numbers or a word that could be recognized.
How often would you say you need to update the firmware? Are they constantly putting updates out?
Chances are, when you get a device, they are already working on the next one. So there are going to be features that come out a year from now that you didn't get in your router that you bought this year, potentially. But the support cycle, might be 5, 6, 7, 10 years. Better to keep checking until you get to the point where you're not getting updates, and then you realize they've moved on.
Have they come up with anything yet that will, after you get your home network set up, that you actually make your device visible to nobody outside your house? Notice there are any Wi-Fi devices in there?
If you disable the SSID beacon,
No, not disable, just make it invisible so nobody else can know it's there.
well, that's really the only way to make it invisible.
But after you set your access points up and everything, all your devices, I'm saying, is it possible where you can hide your signal from outside your house?
You can use a VPN or a firewall.
But it'll still be fine.
If you disable the SSID, unless you use a sniffer, you're not going to find the network. Okay? If somebody's driving by my house and they're they're just using a wireless analyzer. They may see that there is a network there, but they won't know what the name is, so they can't log in. If they use a sniffer, they might be able to find out what the name of the address is, but they still wouldn't have the password. They would have to use a brute force attack in order to get the password.
So if somebody comes to my house with a cell phone, they won't be able to see.
You're better off to have two routers, one for your home network, your personal network, and one that you use for guests.
Yes.
You can segment that if you want on a single router, but most of the videos I was watching suggested that you have two routers or three routers, depending on the different groups that you're going to have using your network. Any other questions? Well, that concludes my presentation. I really appreciate your patience. Have a great day.